Sitting at his desk near his bed in his room, Terasawa clenches the pen in his right hand and his left fist clenches.
That's impossible! What?
He leans far back in his chair that he falls on the floor on his back. Paper flies up in the air and floats back down as the reporter stares up at the ceiling. How the hell am I supposed to edit these articles together? He sighs and looks at the photo on the wall, a photo of himself and a woman posing for the camera. Maybe I should ask Morimura for help. His eyes looks towards the alarm clock and sees the time. Nah. He picks himself up and sits back in the chair. I can do this. How bad could it possibly be? Sitting 36.7 miles off the west coast of Japan lies the island of Sado, a land where exiles were sent to in Japan's early history, and a place where the AMS 48th Infantry Battalion and 48th Infantry Battalion and 10th Attack Squadron are stationed at, and Shimonibu is where an HQ is located. The 108th and the 48th resides in the base itself. A door opens and an AMF officer, Brigadier General Takehiro Watanabe, walks into a room with a mug of coffee in his hand. His eyes locks into the screen at the end of the room. He moves his eyes down and spots 2 chairs. He walks up to them and sees 2 operators sleeping on controls and keyboards. Hey, rise and shine, kids! The operators wakes up from their sleep and immediately gets back to work. Watarase. Yes, sir? Any signs of movement from him? No, sir. No signs of movement. He's still sleeping last time I checked. Otani? Private Masayoshi Otani types on the keyboard. The screen changes locations. A dot appears right on a specific spot in the Sea of Japan. Yeah, she's right. He hasn't moved anywhere. It's almost as if he doesn't want to move. Probably because the anti-nuclear energy bacteria is making it very difficult for him. Yet one thought still remains within his mind. Phones ringing, keyboards typing, people discussing or arguing on topics on articles that should or should not be published, the normal everyday life inside of the Japan Times HQ. Since 1879, its goal is to provide the people of Japan the current news and topics, as well as having an English translation for the international community. Among the employees under Chairman Toshiaki Okusawa, however, Kenichiro Terasawa is one of those employees who is not in any mood for a conversation. Having made the decision to make the articles all by himself, he is left with his forehead on his desk, exhausted. On second thought, maybe I should have asked for some help. A finger pokes the side of his head. The man sits up, and the finger pokes his cheek. Hey, Terasawa, are you still alive? He looks to the right and sees a woman standing beside him. Chiaki, hey. Let me guess, you stayed up all night for those articles again. What gave it away? We've been dating for 2 years. I can tell when you're tired as hell. Busted. She places a cup of coffee on the desk next to him as he wipes his eyes. He takes the coffee and takes a sip. Jeez, you have to stop overworking yourself. You should have called me for help. Well, you said you were going to be busy, right? So I didn't bother. Yeah, to pick out a movie for us to watch. Really? What did you pick out? Porco Rosso. Oh, I've been wanting to see that. I knew it. So, how did the interview with Shindo go? Pretty good. I was able to get everything. Their base was overwhelming. But the shocking thing is that Miki Sagusa was there too. The Class S Esper? He looks around him to make sure that no one is eavesdropping. He brings her into his workstation and puts her in a chair. Okay, yes, but I got the intention I should keep my mouth shut. Why? This could be a big story. Let me put it in perspective. You know how when Godzilla came back in 1984 and there was a nationwide blackout and it was lifted by increasing tensions between America and the Soviet Union? Yes, and there was a massive political talk between politicians and ordinary people. Right, so imagine what would happen if this story gets out. Do you want that Esper on our asses for that? Morimura thinks on what her boyfriend told her. She ponders for 30 seconds, then reaches a conclusion. Okay, I see your point. Thank you. So when are we going to see the movie? You promised. I know I did, but I'm still waiting for the editor to approve the articles. At that very moment, a man in a suit walks out of the editor's room to the reporter. Terasawa! Yes, sir? Good news. Your story has been approved. You're free to go. All right, Chiaki, we can go now. Just as the two was starting to head for the exit, a loud boom gets their attention. In fact, it's not just them. Everyone within the building heard the sound.
What the hell was that? Was that an explosion?
But they are not the only ones who heard it. All over Tokyo and Chiba, all of the activity stops in an instant. A second boom is heard. A shockwave travels from water to land, launching people off of their feet, toppling over cars, and breaking windows all at once. At the ERI training ground, Miki Sugusa creates a massive shield protecting those who are on the field. The force of the shockwave hitting your shield is like a punch to the gut or the face.
Everyone get to cover!
All of the workers runs to cover as fast as they can. The shockwave blasts open the windows from bottom to top. In the AMF HQ in Shinjuku, alarms are blaring, soldiers and scientists are scrambling, and operators are trying to find out what caused the shockwave. In the command center, General Shindo stands up from his seat.
Report! What the hell happened?
An unknown shockwave has hit Tokyo and Chiba. Minor damage for now.
Well, what caused it in the first place?
We're working on it, sir.
What the hell?
General Shindo looks in her direction, concerned.
What? What is it? A kaiju?
We're picking up an unidentified object.
No. A vessel?
What? Back at the Kyoichi building, the blown open windows are letting papers sweep out of the offices.
Is everyone alright?
All of the editors and writers reveal themselves, showing the man that they are alright.
Holy hell! What caused that? Hey! There's a flaming ship in the sky!
They all rush to the man pointing into the sky. Their reaction is nothing but shock on all of their faces. Morimoto wraps her arms around Terusawa out of fear. And it is not just them, but everyone who looks up into the sky. In the skies above Tokyo is a single ship. Half aircraft carrier, half battleship, metallic gray on top and red at the bottom, and 400 meters in length, 100 in width, and 250 in height. Turbine engines cover the stern, and blade rotors are on each corner of the ship. All within Tokyo watches the massive flying ship as it passes over them. From the ground, it looks like some parts of the ship are on fire from bow to stern. The vessel passes Minato, then Shinjuku. Finally, after a few moments, crash lands 31.7 miles northwest. Sikorsky UH-60J multi-role and Bell UH-1 helicopters flies over the houses and fields. Type 83 medium trucks carrying the 1st Engineer Battalion and AMF 2nd Engineer Battalion zooms past neighborhoods and packed crowds. News vans and trucks falls after them. Type 74 MBTs and Type 73 APCs steamrolls through the forest. Once all of the forces are at the site, they surround the massive vessel on all sides. The medium truck stops on top of a hill. Soldiers of the JSDF and AMF exit the vehicles and props up barricades, preventing anyone else from getting any further. The news vans from many stations in Tokyo arrives and stops near the barricades. Terusawa and Morimoto exit the Japan Times van, with the former carrying the camera and the latter holding a microphone. The reporter looks away from his girlfriend towards the massive ship that crash landed in the field.
Hey, focus!
Oh, right, sorry. He points the camera and she gives her live report to NHK News. General Shindo and Lieutenant General Hisao Amari of the JSDF walks out of the transports. With them are AMF and JSDF soldiers with Howa Type 89 assault rifles who moves up to the edge of the hill awaiting both of the general's commands. Shindo looks over to the right and spots Terusawa holding the camera and shooting his girlfriend as she gives this major report.
General Shindo? Right. 11th Squad, follow me. 21st Squad, stay behind me.
The pair of squads follow their respective leaders down the hill towards the downed ship. As the generals draws closer and closer, they examine the ship's starboard side from bow to stern. The sheer size of the vessel is starting to overwhelm the individual soldiers as they continue to get nearer. Shindo, in particular, is eternally becoming bewildered with emotions.
Do you know what I'm noticing?
What?
Looking at it closely like this, the ship is reminding me of Yamato and Akagi. Now that you mention it, it does look similar to those ships.
Both of the generals stops in their tracks and looks up at the massive vessel.
Yeah, it does. It seems like a hybrid of both.
Colonel Tosaka! Sergeant Maika! Colonel Noriko Tosaka in her light gray and red combat uniform and Sergeant Takayuki Maika in his normal combat uniform approaches the two. You'll be with us. The rest of you, wait here and guard. The four continues to walk forward while the other soldiers waits in place. Meanwhile, back up on the hill, Morimoto is still giving her report. She moves out of camera view so that Terusawa can show the audience what is in front of them. As you can see, a large unidentified ship had entered Japanese airspace and crash landed here in Oguna in the Nishitama district. We do not know where it came from, but the AMF and JSDF are currently surrounding and investigating the ship as we speak. The two soldiers and generals approaches the ship as close as possible. The four looks around. Shindo's eyes locks onto something on the starboard bow, a giant logo. Not just any logo, but the logo of the Anti-Megalosaurus Force. Hey, Amari, take a look at the bow. Amari looks into the direction that Shindo told him. Both men are dumbfounded. What the hell? Tosaka, Micah, begin the thorough scan. Yes, sir. The two spreads out to different parts of the ship as the two generals continues to look up at the superstructure. Why would a massive ship like this have the AMF logo on it? Don't know. Could it be that... Sirs, I found something. It looks like an entrance. Where? They and Micah rushes over to the colonel. Sure enough, they can see it. An entrance at the very bottom of the ship. Wait, there's no way of opening it. So, how do we get in? Sergeant Micah approaches the door in question. He reaches his hand out and gently touches the door, trying to feel for a way to get in. Then, he smells something. Ugh! What? What's wrong? Ugh! I smell something rotten. Rotten? He steps up next to him and sniffs it. Oh my god, you're right. Jeez, it smells like a rotten corpse. And there's also smoke coming from within too. Steam suddenly blows through the door, taking the soldiers by surprise. Squads, group up! The men that were guarding rushes over to the fore and gets into position. Tosaka and Micah joins back to their respective groups. Take aim! All of the soldiers aims their Howa Type 89 assault rifles, and the generals gets behind them. The door opens upwards, grabbing the attention of those on the hill. Terasara zooms the camera in to the soldiers aiming at the entrance of the ship. The news crowd huddles closer to the barricade without going over it or getting past the JSDF soldiers guarding it. As the door opens all the way, the air from within gets blown out, hitting the men and women in uniform. The smell of rotting flesh and burning smoke hits their nostrils. Ugh, Great Caesar's ghost. You are not lying, General. He gets interrupted by the sound of footsteps coming from the inside. They grow louder and louder as someone draws closer to the entrance. Come on out and show yourself. If you don't, we will open fire. Wait! They hear a man's voice, and he can speak fluent Japanese. All of you, stand down. Shindo? Is that you? Who was asking? Identify yourself. The mysterious man gets closer, then finally, he reveals himself for all to see. On the hill, the crowd is confused. The soldiers do not know what to make of this. The man brushes his blonde hair and his battle-damaged gold and black uniform. He wipes the blood from his Caucasian skin. Well, this is very interesting. I'm very sorry for the unexpected arrival, but let me introduce myself. The man clicks his feet together and salutes to the soldiers and generals. General Douglas Wilson of the Japanese Anti-Megalosaurus Force. It's a pleasure to meet you, General Yoshiwaki Shindo.
What?